that we need to continue to stand strong to defend everybody's rights and freedoms.
Good morning, guys. How you doing today? Hey, what a beautiful day out here on the lake. Yeah, down here in Calendar Bay. Yeah, just thought I'd show you a little something different today. Hey, we got pirates in Canada. Hey, today's just gonna be a little babble. I've got a lot of little things I want to bring up, and I'm really sorry about the wind, but it is so nice. The wind is extremely cold, but hey, it is what it is. You know, this is Canada. If you don't expect cold, you're in the wrong country. Anyway, I want to talk about a couple of things. Okay, now I get it. There's a lot of people that are caught up in the spin that has gone on in regards to the convoy and everything like that. And there's people that are dead set against, you know, what the convoy was about. But I think they misunderstand what the convoy ended up being about. You see, yeah, it started as a disagreement over mandates for long-haul truckers crossing the border, because that was totally illogical. And wow, man, that wind is something. I'm really sorry about that. Try and turn the camera so that she's not as brutal. Anyway, so everyone gets caught up in, you know, all these truckers, they, you know, whatever, because of all the spin that's been put around it. But by the time it reached Ottawa, and you heard this on multiple occasions through the commission, that there were so many groups and everything coalescing there that they used that as an excuse on didn't know who to talk to. Okay, well, let's address that part first. Okay, if you didn't know who to talk to, why is it in the first 24 hours of the actions in Ottawa, the police reactions to remove the convoy, you arrested every single leader of the convoy? I thought you said you didn't know who to talk to. You didn't go arresting and charging all the individual groups. You charged and arrested the convoy leaders. Tamara Leach, Chris Barber, I don't remember all their names, I'm really sorry. Pat King, well, he wasn't really an organizer, but you kept calling him the one. So, if you don't know who's in charge, why are these the people that you charge? It makes no sense. Here, I'm going to try and get a little bit of shelter over here. This beautiful little gazebo. I know, it's got no walls. Hey, my logic works in my brain, okay? Leave me alone. Okay. Let's get in here and watch the sun. And instead of walking, I'm going to actually sit down. All right. We can watch the sun go down. Anyway, so if you didn't know, well, then why would you charge them? Because you knew very well who was in charge. Well, who could encourage the protests to disperse the best? Okay. Now, like I said, there was a lot of groups that came down there. A lot of people were down there for different reasons. But they all had a common goal, a common reason why they were there. And that common reason was that, holy mackerel, this wind is brutal on my hands. Should have brought my gloves. Anyway, that common reason was this government overreach. The government imposing upon Canadian citizens, imposing upon the rights and freedoms of Canadians, stripping the liberties of Canadians, emulating a communist regime like China and their zero COVID policies. And yet this week, Trudeau's out there claiming that he stands with people that are willing, that want to express themselves for their rights and freedoms. But Trudeau, that's what we did. And what did you do? You invoked the Emergencies Act. So, you know, whether you agree with the convoy or not is irrelevant. I'm not trying to encourage people to agree with us. I'm trying to open your eyes and make you realize this isn't just about the convoy. This is about our government. This is about our country. This is about our future. Now, I want to touch on something else. You see, this government is constantly, or let me start that over. Let me start this over, okay? We decided back in the 1970s that we were going to make multiculturalism public policy, okay? And you know what? That's fantastic. It grew our population. It created the only place on earth where it didn't matter who you were accepted for who you are. Until this government came into power. You see, our history matters. We're fully supportive of inviting new people to Canada. I think it's fabulous. I think it's great. We get to learn about the entire world right here at home from people that live it, people that have been there, people that know. You know, like the Polish and the Croatian protesters that came to Ottawa who were telling us, do not give up. We've seen this happen in our country. Do not give up on these people. Please stand your ground. Because the alternative is that we are going to lose our country. So we stood there with them, shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm. Agree with the protest or not, I don't care. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm trying to open your eyes and make you realize our government is working against Canadian citizens. Now our government has decided to throw our heritage out the window. They run around and they talk about heritage this and heritage that, and oh, well, you know, we need to erase history, basically. Well, now they want to actually remove heritage from our ability to feed ourselves. Canada was founded on hunting and gathering from the native people that lived here long before the white man ever arrived. To this very day, people live every day waiting for the fall hunt, waiting to go out into the bush, spend time with their family, share their histories, teach the young how to respect nature. And now this government wants to take away their ability to hunt by removing all guns in Canada. It's not the legal hunters that are the problem here. You want to crack down for safety? Well, then crack down on safety. I don't know any legal hunters that run around downtown Toronto with their friggin' gun. I'm not a gun person. I've never enjoyed holding a gun. I don't like firing them. I have no want or need for a gun. But I know many people, Canadians, that respect their heritage. My family hunts every year. We keep doing this over and over and over again. And we keep talking about, oh, Trudeau is horrible. And everyone thinks that we're just rambling off at the lips. Well, I'm not rambling here. Well, I am rambling, but I'm trying to give you actual facts. Trying to make you realize how wrong this government is today. What is the first thing that any repressive government is going to do to its citizens before it imposes some sort of authoritarian rule? Think about it for 2 seconds. What are they going to do? They're going to remove the ability for the citizens to rise up against them. I'm not saying we should do this. I'm saying this is what they're doing. And if you doubt what I'm talking about, let me show you some. Well, I'll explain something to you. I'm not going to do a clip today because I don't have time for that nonsense. I'm going to explain it to you. When you look at the images of the protests in Ottawa, when you look at all the hugs and people jumping up and down, even screaming F Trudeau, okay? When you look at all those images and you hear all the stories about bouncy castles and hot tubs and desecrating the monument to Terry Fox by putting a flag on his back. He marched with a flag on his back. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. But you talk about all these things and you blame the protesters for all this horrible potential to violence. There was no violence. But the government used that excuse over and over and over again. There was potential. There was potential to violence. That's not the Canadian way. Black Lives Matter came into Ottawa. They smashed windows. They tore down statues. They painted statues. And the government took a fucking knee to them. But Canadians come to Ottawa and protest by putting up bouncy castles, by having hot tubs, by standing out front saying, come talk to us. And the government refused, using the excuse there's potential to violence. Not one police officer was ever assaulted during the convoy. Not one citizen of Ottawa was physically harmed. And I mean actual physical harm to them from the protesters. Not one member of officials were physically harmed by the protesters in Ottawa. Matter of fact, I've seen videos of senators walking down the street saying, thank you. Thank you for standing up against a repressive regime. I'm not trying to convince you we were right. We weren't right in everything. We were just trying to be heard. Is that not the Canadian way? Listen to one another. Talk to one another. Be there for each other. I didn't like the way I ended that, so I cut it. And I'm going to add this as my ending. Dislike the convoy. That's fair. But if you're going to call fair, let's be real fair here. Look at what the government has done to the Canadian populace. Look at the division that it has created. Look at the authoritarianism style governing that they are performing. Ask yourself, is this Canadian? I don't care whether you agree with the convoy. You don't have to agree with me. I don't care. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm trying to make you realize where we are in Canada at this point. I believe Canada is so much more than what this government is doing to it. I believe Canada is so much more than your petty cancel culture. I believe Canada is so much more. Period. Welcome to the Fringe.
I'm with you.